Hi everyone, I'm Miss Katie from Rockland Public Library and welcome to Wednesday Read Aloud. I hope that you all had a wonderful Earth Day last week and I thought we would continue thinking about our world and thinking about our community this week by reading The Curious Garden by Peter Brown. Now, The Curious Garden is about a boy who sees a need in his community. There isn't enough greenery, isn't a lot of grass or trees, and he changes that. And it reminded me of some of the stories we've been reading recently. We read Harlem Grown last week, which is a true story about growing a community garden. And last summer we read Maybe Something Beautiful, which is about adding art to a community. So I thought we would read a fiction story. That means this story is make-believe. This story is all made up, but this is a story about helping a community. Let's see what happens in The Curious Garden. Look, here he is, growing his curious garden. There once was a city without gardens or trees or greenery of any kind. Most people spent their time indoors. As you can imagine, it was a very dreary place. Oh, look, there's no grass, no trees, no gardens. However, there was one boy who loved being outside. Even on drizzly days, while everyone else stayed inside, you could always find Liam happily splashing through his neighborhood. Splish, splash, splish. It was on one such morning that Liam made several surprising discoveries. He was wandering around the old railway, as he did from time to time, when he stumbled upon a dark stairway leading up the tracks. The railway had stopped working ages ago, and since Liam had always wanted to explore the tracks, there was only one thing for a curious boy to do. You know what he did? He found out where they led. Liam ran up the stairs, pushed open the door, and stepped out onto the railway. The first thing he saw was a lonely patch of color. Wildflowers. Oh, do you see? Everything is gray, but right here, there's actually something growing in the city. The first thing he saw was a lonely patch of color. The wildflowers and plants were the last thing he ever expected to find up there. But when he took a closer look, it became clear that the plants were dying. They needed a gardener. Liam may not have been a gardener, but he knew that he could help. So he returned to the railway the very next day to get to work. The flowers nearly drowned with his first pruning problems, but the plants patiently waited while Liam found better ways of gardening. Look, he's testing it out. He doesn't really know what he's doing, but he's trying really hard. He watered a little too much. He trimmed a little bit off too much. Ooh, do you see what he's trying down here? He's trying singing to the plants to see if that helps. As the weeks rolled by, Liam began to feel like a real gardener, and plants began to feel like a real garden. Do you see it starting to spread out? And those plants are looking happier and happier. Look at the tree before. And now it's turning green. Most gardeners stay in one place, but this was no ordinary garden. While miles of open railway ahead of it, the garden was growing restless. It wanted to explore. The tough little weeds and mosses were the first to move. They popped up further and further down the tracks and were closely followed by more delicate plants. Do you see? There isn't much growing, and then all of a sudden it starts to fill out and spread and spread. Over the next few months, Liam and the Curious Garden explored every corner of the railway. Here it is. Everything's still dark and dreary down below, but up on the railway track, there's a whole new garden. Oh, look. It's beautiful. all this new place for greenery to grow. After spending his spring and summer and autumn with the garden, Liam's time on the railway was finally interrupted by winter. Heavy blankets of snow fell on the city that season, and for the first time since he'd become a gardener, Liam could not visit his plants. Here he is. He's staring up where he knows those plants are sleeping underneath the snow, but he can't do anything with them at the moment. Rather than waste his winter worrying about the garden, Liam spent it preparing for spring. Look, he's reading. After 3 cold months of snow finally began to melt, and Liam rolled his new gardening gear over to the railway. Here he goes. Winter had taken its toll on the garden. Look, it doesn't look very well, but it doesn't take much to bring it back, does it? But thanks to Liam's planning, his handy new tools, and a little help from the sun, the plants soon awoke from their winter sleep. Look, he's watering and pruning, and he knows what he's doing this time. And there he is again, singing to his plants. The garden had always wanted to explore the rest of the city, and that spring, it finally was ready to make its move. Once again, the tough little weeds and mosses set out first. They popped up further and farther from the railway and were closely followed by more delicate plants. So if you can see, they're starting to spill over the sides of the tracks, and we're starting to see it on a chimney and down an old abandoned house. So those plants are starting to spread and grow with Liam nurturing them along the way. The garden was especially curious about old and forgotten things. Look, they found a new home in an abandoned car and an old boarded up area. Oh, look what else they found. A few plants popped up where they didn't belong. Can you see what this is? They popped up on a stop sign. Well, we don't want them there. And look what else. On a fire hydrant. Here's Liam is pulling it off. Sorry, plants, you can't live there. And other plants mysteriously popped up all at once. Look, here he is. He's dropping off secret plants for people to have at their houses. But the most surprising thing that popped up in the new garden were gardeners. Can you take a peek at this page? Let's see, there's people playing, people mowing the lawn. There's someone that looks like they're raking the soil. And look at all the people that have joined in. All the kids that are coming to help with the curious garden. Here they are, enjoying the mossy stairs, having picnics on the lawn, playing in the water. Oh, look, there's someone even trimming special trees. And this person, can you see what they're doing down there? They're painting a picture of what they see. Many years later, the entire city had blossomed. But of all the new gardeners, Liam's favorite was where it had all began, on the railroad track. The end. And look, this is the beautiful city that has come from all this greenery. I think we should take a look back at the beginning. Where did we start from? Do you remember what the place used to look like? The city was very dark and it didn't have any greenery. And it looked like this. There was nothing growing, there was nothing green, and there was lots of pollution coming out. And years later, they were able to bring it to this. The end. Great listening, everyone. Now, while I was reading this story, I was thinking it reminded me a lot of Harlem Grown, which we read last week. Especially the part where Liam said that he wasn't a gardener. That's the same thing that I can't remember his name, the gentleman who came and helped out with Harlem Grown, he said the same thing. He wasn't a gardener, but he saw that there was something needed. And so he learned about plants from books, and he tried things out, and he learned from his mistakes, and he figured out how to make the world a better place. So I hope you go out this week and see if there's a way, even if it's very, very small, that you can help out your community and your world. And let's keep Earth Day a celebration we celebrate every day. Have a great week, and I'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.